All right, let's stand for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening. Thank you, everybody, for coming down. Board President advised members of the audience that they may address the board regarding agenda items after the superintendent's report. Only those members whose names and addresses are listed on the sign-in sheet available prior to the start of the meeting will be recognized during new business. The chairperson will limit discussions of any item by the public to 3 minutes in order for the board to expeditiously conduct its business. Mr. Dolan.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zachary. Before I start the report, it's really kind of hard to believe, but Thanksgiving is a couple days away. And, you know, we have a tremendous amount to be thankful for. And, you know, the entire world has been put in a difficult situation where we're not always quite sure what is right and what is wrong. And we're watching arguments among friends where people can pull up facts that support opposing viewpoints. And, I, for one, am thankful that people have gotten much better at listening to each other, being patient, and moving through what has been, an incredibly difficult time. And I do believe that we are moving to a better place. We might not be moving as quickly as some people would like. We might be moving a little too fast for others. But in general, and when it comes to school is back in session. I think that in September, at the end of September, if you told us we would get to Thanksgiving and be in the shape that we're in, I think we would all have been at least reasonably pleased with that. So I'm going to say a big thank you to the East Islip community. I'm extremely thankful for all of your advice, your input, your support. And I am very grateful to the children who are doing, wonderful things and learning how to deal with difficult situations. We have been very successful in a certain number of areas, and we'll talk about those celebrations in December because we hope to bring some kids back to the board meeting for the first time. The two major items that I'd like to address right now, the first one is the Long Range Planning Committee. And we said this when we convened, the purpose of the 2015 Long Range Planning Committee was, what do you want the district to look like in 2025? I'm very pleased to note that we've pretty much checked everything off the list that we had in 2015. We still have some things to finish, some tidying up to do. As you know, we finish up the bond, and we now have a computer device for every student. We have a smart board in every classroom, which, we have moved forward from the year 2015. The charge of this committee is going to be, what do you want the school district to look like in 2025 and 2030? What do you want instruction to look like? What should our kids be seeing in the classroom in terms of tools and things they need for learning? What do the teachers need? How can we support our teachers so they can provide the best lessons for our children? We were waiting for an enrollment study from BOCES, which we just received. So what we're going to do is we're going to take some time to take a look at it. At the next board meeting, we'll make an announcement how you can volunteer to sign up to be on this committee. And it looks like we're going to start the Long Range Planning Committee, whose charge will be, what do you want East Islip to look like in 2030? We will begin that process probably mid to late January. We don't have a time frame. The committee will meet until it's done. So we are excited about that. So mark your calendars. I know several people have approached me about volunteering, and I said, well, when we're ready, we will make sure it's publicized. So at the next board meeting, we'll have the specifics, and we should have a starting date for that committee, which will again be, in mid to late January, all right? The second thing on the list is the board has decided we have a capital reserve account with, just under $6 million in it. That's the account that we started when we didn't know if the bond would pass. That was the emergency money that, wouldn't have done much for us, but we've accumulated that money. That money can only be spent if the public votes to spend it. And it has to be spent on capital improvements. It looks like we are moving forward. I'm going to give you some of the items that we're looking at in terms of capital improvements for the district that we would like to see. And we will, we'll be putting together a resolution, and we'll have a proposal, and it will be on the ballot in May. There is $6 million sitting, just under $6 million sitting in an account designated for capital improvements that can't be touched unless the voters vote on it. The things that we're looking at is we want to finish electrical upgrades so that we can get an air conditioner in every classroom. We have some faculty bathrooms that have to be finished for restorations. The music theater area has some, we want to do some more soundproofing, but we also have some rooms there that need to be updated and upgraded, for the theater group. There's paving parking lots at the high school, the middle school, and the RCK playground. The tennis courts at the middle school need to be refurbished. Air conditioning for the fitness center at the high school. Extension of the bus loop at the high school, and a refurbishing of the maintenance barn down at JFK, and we're looking to create an innovation lab. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not the final list by any stretch of the imagination. There will be some other things, based on pricing, but this is something that you'll hear more and more about. But it is, I think, all of these things are important to the everyday function of the school, and like I said, the voters will have a chance to vote on that in May. And with that, I once again want to thank everybody for all of the things that you do on a daily basis, and I would like to, I'm very grateful and thankful, at this holiday season to have the East Islip School District in my life, so I'm going to turn it back over to the president. We still have teams playing. You don't congratulate them till it's bad luck to congratulate. No.
We've had a great athletic season.
We've had a wonderful season, but we're still playing, so we don't talk about it till
Okay.
it's done.
Public comments on agenda items. Anybody have a comment on an agenda item? Certified personnel. Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the resignations, terminations, leaves of absence, position abolitions, employment appointments, tenure appointments, and salary changes in accordance with applicable provisions of education law and civil service law as cited in the certified personnel attachments. Can I get a motion?
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Be resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education approves the resignations, terminations, leaves of absence, position abolitions, employment appointments, tenure appointments, and salary changes in accordance with applicable provisions of education law and civil service law as cited in the non-certified personnel attachments. Can I get a motion?
Motion. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Consent agenda, 9.1 through 9.32. Does anybody want anything removed from the consent agenda? Okay, all in favor of the consent agenda? Aye.
Aye.
9:33. Be resolved that upon the recommendation of the superintendent of schools, the Board of Education accepts the donation from the Islip Elks Lodge number 2533 of 132 dictionaries to be distributed to all JFK third grade students. Can I get a motion?
Motion.
Discussion. Thank you very much to the Islip Elks Lodge. That's a very generous donation and it's very much appreciated. That's a great gift to our third grade students. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Aye. Any old business?
update us on the middle school cafeteria situation that was brought up last meeting? Is that getting better?
Based on the administrator's report, there is improvement in the cafeteria operations. They are also making adjustments based on students' requests and parents' requests.
Any other old business? New business?
So I have some new business. I was able to get around to some of the events that are happening around the district. For example, a trunk or treat at the elementary levels, that was good to see. As well at the middle school, they had the cornhole event. And then just recently with Thanksgiving coming up, the high school had their food drive. That was good to see. And I'm really encouraged to see that we're having the concerts, and as well as the drama club is having their play next month. So I'm looking forward to that. Thank you.
I too want to commend the PTAs, the teachers, parents, and administrators. I was at the pumpkin patches at both Connecticut Elementary and Timber Point, and the kids really enjoyed it, and everything worked out fine. I was also at the trunk or treats. They had a combination. RCK and Connecticut ran one. Timber Point and JFK ran the other. And it was amazing how the parents decorated their cars, and it was a very well-thought-out community event, and we're moving forward with this stuff.
Any other new business?
Yes.
Ms. Walsh?
I know last month we approved the trip for the wind ensemble to go to Rochester. But after approving that, I found out a small detail I thought I would share. Many schools throughout New York submit their audition tapes, and also colleges and private schools. And we were the only band that was selected from all of New York State to participate and perform at the NYSSMA performance in Rochester. So kudos to Mr. Neske for getting his wind ensemble chosen. And I would also like to thank EI Maps because they are paying for the hotel, most of the hotel fee for all of the students that will be attending. So that's the entire wind ensemble having their hotel rooms paid for by EI Maps. So kudos to them, and kudos to Mr. Neske. Thank you.
Congratulations, Mr. Neske. Also, EI Maps, they do great work. Are they going to be having their clothing drive? They always do it, I believe, in like December, January. So if, keep an eye out for that. Start going through your closets. You see things that don't fit anymore, one way or the other, or you don't want. Please save it up for EI Maps and their donations, because it goes towards great things like this for the kids. So please start keeping that in mind, and we'll keep our eyes open for that date. Any other new business?
I just want to congratulate all the fall sports teams that did so well this year.
It's an excellent season for EI Sports, and it continues to be an excellent season for EI Sports. Anything else? Steph? And I'm sorry, Ms. Thorpe, just before you start, guys, again, if we can try to limit it to 3 minutes. We have a lot of people signed up. Like I said, if you start hearing the bell, please start wrapping up your thoughts. I'm not going to cut anybody off right away, but if we could just keep in mind the 3 minutes and be respectful of that and each other. Thank you.
Yes. So to start, I would like to thank the Board of Education, Mr. Dolan, faculty, staff, and administration for their commitment to our district and our children, for their patience and the attention while listening to everyone, while it be in a Board of Ed meeting, on a phone call, or in a letter. I would also like to thank the board and past administrators for a precedent of inclusion in our district, whether it be peanut-free classrooms, discouraging goodie bags or costumes at Halloween, IEPs, 504s, and providing services for those with special needs, or free food during a pandemic. It's clear that the mental and physical health of our students has been a priority for this district in the past. whether it be school board or community driven. The goal has been to make sure that every child feels included and not left out. These are inclusion practices that benefit our children, and I hope will continue. Masks have been a hot topic at these meetings for months now, but they are really just another form of inclusion, allowing everyone to stay in school while protecting our children, their parents, and grandparents. There is currently no vaccine mandate, but by the time there is, there shouldn't be any doubt in the research that this is the right thing to do to protect our children and their families, just like every other FDA-approved vaccine that is required for our children to attend school. And I just want to give grace to everyone in this room. We're all living and trying to survive through a once-in-a-lifetime and seemingly never-ending pandemic. It's not the masks, it's not the vaccine, it's all of it. We are all going to need therapy when this is over, if not sooner. And I get it, we're all scrambling and looking for direction to displace this anger and frustration. But giving credence to misinformation and ignoring basic recommendations from the scientific community will most certainly prolong the pandemic. I also want to highlight the effort to prepare our students, not just for college, but for the world beyond elementary, middle, or high school. While the parents, family values, and religion play a huge role in shaping the minds of our children, it is clear that the support that they get from their school can either prepare them for life or fail them. All the children in our district deserve a whole child education that is diverse, equitable, and inclusive. And while it may be easy to blame a lack of AP classes or educational rigor on college attrition and test scores, our children also need to be taught age-appropriate truths, social and emotional practices for good mental health, and not be shielded from the things that they will need to know and learn about anyway from the world for continued success. We should not be so focused on the purpose of high school to achieve a college degree and a high-paying job that we forget to prepare our students to be good people, self-sufficient, resilient, and mentally prepared for citizenship. This is not just something to be taught at home, but should carry over to every subject and modeled by every teacher and mentor. By neglecting to do so, we only undermine their education and limit their potential. So I'm asking the board to consider these vital points when asked to reevaluate topics or remove books that are recommended from leaders in education to be covered in school. I often consider the statement that you fear what you don't know, and from fear comes judgment, discrimination, hate, and bullying. If we all took the time to not only understand and teach about, but celebrate our differences, whether it be race, religion, gender, or sexual identity, we would be able to hold our community to a higher standard. Concerns of induced enrollment from schools should not dissuade the board from making the right decisions, not to just assuage parents, but to protect our kids, both mentally, physically, and emotionally. This is public education. We need to come together as a community and decide not just what is best for your child or for my child, but what is best for the most vulnerable children in our community. Whether they live in Great River, Islip Terrace, East Islip, or may be temporarily displaced, every child has a right to a safe, comprehensive, and enriching education, and I hope we can uphold these values in our schools. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Thorpe.
And I do want to listen to everybody, but I have to relieve my babysitter, so I will be listening online.
Good evening, everyone.
Good
This
evening.
is my first time. I'm sorry if I'm going to be a little bit scattered.
Welcome.
But this is a topic that's very close to my heart. So I've been 20 years living in the United States, so excuse if there is any language problems here. And 12 years out of those, they have been in East Islip School District. And I chose the East Islip School District because I found out that it's a very good school district. So that's why here I am. Now, for the most of the time, I have 3 children, and 2 of them, they are in the school district, 14 and 11 years old. So I'll be talking up to the 9th grade, basically, right now, because I don't know the rest of the curriculum, since I have never studied in the United States. So for the most part, I've been really pleased with the education. I love all the teachers. They are really amazing, amazing people. However, my disappointment is really greatly and is increasing with the Department of English Language. As an outsider and having different education, I know most of the English-speaking authors, and I'm finding out that as my kids are growing, they are not learning about them. So that is really upsetting to me. Maybe they're learning later on, but some of those books, that would be appropriate for the 14 years and younger children. However, today, I'm upset because my son came very, very upset from school. He's 14 years old, 9th grade. So he's pretty young, right? And in English class, they've been reading a book and then watching the movie that included the topic of abortion. And I'm really strongly feeling about it because I think these are, as a parent, I have the most, this is my topic that I should be covering. Now, I don't mind if he would be 16, 17, 18 to talk about it in school. Obviously, this is something that many people face today, and it's very, difficult for every single person that is in the situation like that. On the top of it, the movie that was related to the book that they were reading was presented, and part of one of the cadres that was there, all the instruments for abortion presented. My son was hysterical, beyond himself. I don't know if there is some kind of committee that we can revise the books for the children, because I don't know, I don't see any Jack London, although I have the English standards for language, and he should be there. There is no Joseph Conrad, no Lucy Maud Montgomery, no Mary Alcott, Wilder, Jack London. I mean, multiple authors that all the kids around the world learn about them, and I haven't seen them yet up to the 9th grade. But we're talking about abortion with the full, scope of showing instruments. This is not right. And I guess we can probably, I'll be finishing.
Okay, thank you.
We can either trim the movie, or anything, but we definitely need to move some of those books that, I've read them, every single one, to the higher grades because they're completely inappropriate for the little kids, up to this topic at 14 years old, in school. Now, this is the last comment. I'm sorry, I have to say. For the little kids, I have a 5th grader right now. I mean, 4th and 5th, and I don't remember 3rd, but 4th and 5th grade books that are chosen are within last 20 years. And the words, excuse me, I don't use the words, but I have to say, jerk and asshole in the 3rd and 4th grade literature, English language literature, that is completely inappropriate. We have to address it. We totally have to address it. And I apologize, I'm really upset, but thank you for listening to me. I would like to ask the Board of Education to really look into the books and revise it with the English language department, because they cannot be like this anymore. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for getting up there. There are plenty of books out there, I think, that don't have controversial issues and words. So I understand. Mr. Dolan, perhaps you could talk to her or get some more information on that and discuss that class, or what's going on over there. Thank you. Kids don't need to see that. I don't get it. I understand why.
Hello, how are you guys?
Good evening.
Okay, so I just want to start off by saying I don't want anyone to be taking this speech as an anti-vax speech, because that's not what it is. Most of my energy is going to be going into the vaccine, but again, this is not an anti-vax speech. This is all factual data that is, anyone public knowledge can look it up. I'd like to start off by saying, remember that our fight has always been about choice. What you want to do for your family is fine, but let us please make decisions for our own family. This is a subject which any parent should want to keep an open mind to. Anything being injected into your child's body should be closely looked at. The CDC released new data showing a total of 875,653 adverse events following COVID vaccines that have been reported between December 14th of last year to November 5th of this year to the VAERS website, which is the primary government-funded system for reporting any adverse reaction to the U.S. Current data includes a total of 18,461 reports of death, an increase of 383 over the previous week, and 135,400 reports of serious injuries, including deaths. Please keep in mind that VAERS has only been shown to report 1% of actual vaccine adverse events. Does anyone know what tromethamine is? Okay, I didn't think so. I didn't either. As of October 29, 2021, Pfizer has included this element in the vaccine for 5 to 11-year-olds only. This ingredient is only included in that vaccine for that age. What is this element? The most common use is to correct acid in the blood during or after cardiac arrest or cardiac bypass surgery. This is used to stabilize heart attack victims. We must ask ourselves, why is this included in the pediatric vaccine? Pfizer will tell you it is to simplify and prolong storage. Also, why is the FDA approving their first ever oral blood thinning medication for children as of this June? This medication is called Pradaxa. It just seems a weird timing for this, being that blood clots has been a reported reaction from this vaccine. As it concerns parents, things are not adding up. As of November 12, 2021, the CDC and VAERS database reports that 47 children between the ages of 5 to 7 have died from the COVID vaccine. Keep in mind that they were only able to get this vaccine November 3rd. There has also been 210, now remember this is just the 5 to 11, the newly authorized vaccine. 210 children have been permanently disabled, and a total of 394 life-threatening reports have been documented. I know my time is up, but my point and my purpose of this speech is to understand why we are so passionately against this mandate. Again, it is not, it's whatever anyone wants to do for their family. If you want to give it to your child, it's fine, but we know that this mandate is coming. I spoke to Assemblyman Jarrett Gandolfo's secretary today, and she said that it looks like it's coming this January. She said it's very real, it's very true. Parents need to call and fight, because if this comes, I know we all were upset about the mask, but this vaccine, obviously, as you know, is a different story. We will not be giving it to our kids, and we want them in school. So that's why we're just asking you guys, which we've been doing, is to please fight for this mandate. This cannot happen. This is insane. These children have a 0% chance of dying. They have a more likely chance of getting a reaction from the vaccine than dying of COVID, and it's true. You can look it up. So I want to ask you, Mr. Dolan, I know we've spoken to you about the letter to the governor, and I was just wondering how that's going with meeting with the other local districts about writing the group letter.
Well, thanks, Mrs. Lufka, because you've always been really great about just laying it out there and being articulate. We continue to work on an exit strategy for the masks, and we do believe, a vaccine mandate would be incredibly disruptive, incredibly disruptive.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to choose my words carefully here, but rest assured, and I've said this to you, we're working very hard with other school districts to try to come up with a full coalition of districts that are willing to say, we want an exit ramp, we want an exit strategy from the masks, and we're willing to work with you. And, as far as the invasiveness into someone's body and the choice, we feel that that should be a parental right. But again, I'm not going to mention any offices or who we spoke to. We have a lobbying meeting tomorrow. We'll be speaking with folks, and then we have meetings set up over the next couple of weeks. And as I've said, if there can be some sort of joint letter with several districts or across the county, that's what we would like to be a part of. The individual letters tend to get picked apart. Each district is slightly different, and it's boards of education. Our goal would be to find a letter that would be acceptable to all school districts and all school boards, and it would have to be a very simple letter to do that, and that is we have meetings scheduled, and the deadline for us now is December 9th. If I don't hear that's gonna happen by December 9th, we'll put pen to paper and put our own letter up on the website.
I really hope so, because last time.
Oh, no, I'm gonna tell you right now, how about this? I'll promise you that if there's no broader consensus, and, I do feel for our elected officials, because they are getting bombarded. And it's very hard for those, especially for the people in the front lines in their office, and it's very hard. We had some confusion the other day about where the shoes were going, and it was because someone who was in the front lines didn't necessarily have all the information. He was just, gathering the shoes up to be donated. So, again, I appreciate you folks continuing to call and being, honestly being polite and respectful and expressing your opinion. And, we're gonna push real hard for the next couple weeks, because, this is a very, very delicate situation, but it could be extremely disruptive to the educational process. So we're hoping. We saw in New York City when they tried to, mandate things with the police and fire department. All of a sudden, they backed off, and they're taking a couple more months to look at it. And I saw today that Long Beach Hospital had to close their emergency room because they didn't have enough nurses. So I think
That should speak volumes for people that nurses are refusing this. Like we all know went through it face to face for a year, and now they're getting fired. Like nothing's adding up. And I know that lady left, but a lot of people like to say, oh, we're adding a vaccine just like all the other FDA approved. What's the big deal? Da da da. This is completely different. It's literally still in experimental trials. It's not even like there's babies dying. 23 babies under the age of 2 have died during the experimental trials. 23. And this just started as of November. Like, it's sickening. And the media doesn't want to touch at all about this. You have to search. It took me 2 hours to come together for this, and I literally have so much more. Like, no one would ever talk about that on the news. It's like we have to, dig for all this to keep our children safe. They went 20 months without this vaccine, and now it's going to be mandated. And get out of here. This is crazy. So I do believe that you guys agree, but we really need you to stand up and take more action. Like, this letter should have already been written.
Oh.
So, all right, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi. We've been playing this game with you guys for 7 months now, and honestly, nothing what you have said has been followed through. I, and I'm sure many other parents, feel like you just say what we want to hear to calm us down for the time being. You told us on multiple occasions the bulletin board in the middle school would be taken down before school even started. Here we are, days before Thanksgiving. Guess what? The bulletin board's still up. You promised no COVID propaganda in our schools. Guess what? My son pulled up a game so you could decorate a mask on their Chromebook. You told us no CRT had no place in our school. You said it wouldn't slip through the cracks. On the middle school website, there's BLM stickers on an article that a middle schooler wrote. You could shake your head no. I could pull it up and show you immediately. So I'll show you. You told us mask breaks would be generous and wouldn't depend on the teacher. Again, not true. Teachers are using mask breaks as rewards or taking away mask breaks for bad behavior. Next, we could talk about the letter. A month ago, we were told 2 weeks for the letter, waiting for multiple school districts to join. And if not, you guys would send your own. Here we are, still waiting now. It's December 9th. We are sick of it. Is anyone seeing the pattern? Everything you guys said to us, nothing has been followed through with. Do you understand Bill A08378 authorizes the Commissioner of Health to develop and supervise the execution of state aid to schools, requires immunization against COVID-19 for attendance at school. This very well could be passed, and then what? I don't think this school or many other schools could survive the amount of children that will leave the public school system. You guys are not working for us, and we're fed up. Joanne Walsh, you're up for re-election in 2022. William Karpuk, Christopher Zachary in 2023. Stephen Rulin and Michael Jurgen in 2024. If you're not willing to do what you say you are doing for us and fight for our children, the community will work day and night to find candidates with backbones to replace these seats on the board and work for the people and the safety of our children. Also, today I picked up my son early from school. Guess what? Nobody in the front of Timber Point had a mask on, not even on their chin. None of them. So you could enforce these rules on our children, but the staff could do whatever the hell they want. We're fed up, we're done, and if things don't change, I promise you, when you're up for re-election, every single one of you will be replaced. Thank you.
Steph?
As you can see, we are losing faith in your abilities as administrators and as a governing board. We are losing faith in some of our teachers. We've heard countless stories of art teachers asking children for their gender identification, articles in our middle school newspaper with gender ideology and CRT, graphic abortion movies in English class, history teachers sharing their political beliefs and teaching how communism in America, not so bad. The lady who spoke first wanted to talk about bullying. The other day, my daughter was walking through the hallway, my oldest. She was pushed by a teacher, told to put on her mask. We are done tolerating your allowance of such insanity. You have no answers, and you placate us with lies of how you're working on it. Or, we didn't know about it. We didn't know about that. That's not true. We didn't know about that. You've taken money from the federal government for COVID with strings attached, and then you were either too ignorant to realize there were strings attached that are clearly stated on the CDC website, or you were just lying to our faces again. You sit and you say nothing because maybe you have nothing to say. But we are not asking you anymore. We are demanding you. Stop catering to these radical leftist agendas that you swear up and down you don't agree with, that are leading us down a path to completely shut down the school when the vaccine mandate comes to fruition. You sat idly back, and you do nothing, but when 35% or more of these kids get pulled out of school because they don't want to get a vaccine that they're going to be forced to get, nobody here will have a job. We are the people, and we govern you. Your unwillingness to take responsibility is over. By following the mask mandate alone, you're in direct violation of federal laws 18 U.S.C. 241, conspiracy against rights, and 18 U.S.C. 242, deprivation of rights under color of law. I can give those to you later if you'd like. Consider this a warning, as we are willing to take legal action against you personally and as an entity for violating our children's rights.
Steph?
Hi.
Good evening.
This is the first time I've ever been to one of these meetings, and I'm not about to berate you or tell you how bad you are, because I really don't know. But what I have to say is about the vaccines. I'm here today, for our kids. I want to make a valid point about vaccinations, and I'm sure you're all fully aware of what it's all about. A true story, when back this COVID first started back in 2020, I had my husband sick, my sister lives below me, the whole house was sick. Me, myself, and my daughter have never got sick. I went above and beyond to help them. I did whatever I could do, and never wore a mask. I washed a lot of hands. I did what I did, okay? The point is, there are people out there that are naturally immune, okay, to the COVID. All right, now, I know that some of you may not believe this, but it works, okay? I know because I am one of them, and my daughter is one of them. I have immunity, it's proven by a doctor, and have no idea why. But for some reason, we don't have it. Now, for the point of what I'm trying to say is, for the amount of time that we've been exposed and the amount of time that my daughter has been exposed, and yes, we need to wear a mask, I get it. Everybody needs to wear a mask. But the whole point is, why should we have to agree to a mandate that is going to have to force our children to get vaccinated when we know of all the precautions, of everything that's going to happen with our children? We don't know. We don't know what this vaccine is going to do 10 years from now. We don't know what it's going to do 5 years from now. I know you all feel the same way. I know you all do. The point is, I don't want this to be a mandate for my kid. And if it is, then I'm going to have to pull her out. And I'm not going to count her in for school. And there's a lot of parents that feel the same way as me. We're going to pull them out. We'll teach them at home if we need to. I'm not going to give her anything that I'm not 100% sure that it's going to keep her safe. Now, I know, you know what? I have a sister. She's diabetic. She's had 3 of the vaccines. She got a booster recently. She passed out on the floor from the booster, okay? I'm not going to subject my child to anything. There's been numerous events of children getting vaccines where they're getting the adult dose and they're not getting the correct one. They're getting, too much of it and so on and so forth. I'm not even going to go into statistics because I'm not into that. I'm not going to tell you every statistic there is, all right? We all know them. I'm not going to sit here and preach statistics, and I'm not going to read from my list either. I'm going to tell you that this is what it is. I am not going to vaccinate my child, and I believe that these parents aren't going to either. And I think that everyone should stand up for their kids and know that we have the right to say no. And we're not going to let our kids get vaccinated because we don't feel that it's safe. And I'm not going to do it, and they're not going to do it. And that's why we're here. And that's pretty much all I have to say about this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello. First, I want to start on a good note. The JFK playground is absolutely phenomenal. So that's good news. Secondly, a lot of what I was going to say has been said, but I do want to ask you, Mr. Dolan, what protocols are in place to communicate with the staffs of the various schools? What's promised at these meetings? I do think that I'm giving you the benefit of the doubt that what you say is what you think is true, what you want to happen. However, we've seen very little follow through with the actual staffing of the schools, just by different stories that you've heard tonight, and then a couple of more that I have. I'm not so sure of the transference of information, such as generous mask breaks, or the CRT curriculum, or gender identity in schools. I'm just not so sure that what's going on here, like that one hand knows what the other hand's doing. So is there like a staff meeting with the principals and the principals with the teachers? In everyone's defense, I know that this is a crazy time. I'm a teacher myself. How are the teachers to know what exactly we're talking about? Because this seems to be not the generous mask breaks that we were thought to happen. And optional masks in October was kind of talked about, but I never heard about it again, that we were hoping for masks optional maybe by October. So.
Well, let's go with the first one. You're asking about mask breaks, correct? You know, we talked about this earlier in the year. You're a teacher. What grade do you teach?
I teach special ed, alternative high school.
Okay. So, I mean, it's very hard for us to come up with a hard schedule because every teacher does different things at different times in different ways. I had a very nice conversation with a woman today who wasn't happy about something, but she was happy with the fact that her daughter was happy with the mask breaks. So
Right.
my answer to this is, if you're having trouble with mask breaks, it should be directed, you should ask the question of either the building principal or the building administration, because they've been working. I know they've worked with numerous kids to solve numerous problems when it comes to mask breaks. We've asked people to be generous. We've asked people to be sensitive. Now, sometimes there are kids that don't speak up, so it's kind of hard. We've talked to parents, and parents have called the school's social worker or guidance counselor. We now have guidance counselors at the elementary level. So I know we've worked with numerous students to get through this.
Mm-hmm.
There is not a one-size-fits-all because it depends on the activities in the classroom. Unfortunately, we've had some COVID cases this year, but we've had to quarantine very few people because protocols have been followed. You know, so if there's an issue with mask breaks, you know, a note or, you know, call to the building administration, could you help me out here? And, you know, it could be as simple as getting the child to speak to the guidance counselor, find out what the problem is, then we talk to the teacher. You know, my office has not been flooded with calls about mask breaks, I can assure you that. I've heard just as many positives as I've heard negatives, but I haven't gotten a lot of calls about that. What was the second question?
I don't remember the second question. Can I say one more thing?
About what we've been doing. You know, we've sent out several letters, and we made sure we sent them via email, and we also sent them receipt requested. So there's evidence that we have sent these letters.
To who?
To the governor, to the state education department, and to the Department of Health.
I'm talking about more about your staff, like the culture of East Islip schools related to children being able to breathe or being able to ask to go take a mask break. I would like to see it a definite in every classroom a protocol for how that can happen and the kids to know how it can happen. Because the kids, what's happening is, I hope you saw our Operation Shoe Drop, which was hugely successful. Now parents are coming to us and letting us know some of the issues that their children are having, that they just know someplace that they could go get support. One student's having anxiety and breathing issues with the mask, and now the teacher's calling him out, and the other students are now joining in. And I mean, I'm not saying that everyone's going to be perfect as a teacher, and I'm just saying I would like the culture to be well known in East Islip schools, you know, that the children should be being supported with being able to breathe.
We will, you know, I'll be happy to revisit this. I'll speak to Mr. Manzo and Dr. Bells tomorrow, but I'm pretty comfortable that people understand what we're supposed to be doing. And there can be, on any given day, there can be problems. And, you know, that's when I appreciate people going to you, but it would be much more helpful if they came to us so we can solve the problem. We need to identify what the problem is, you know, what exactly is going on. And when they go to you and not to us, it becomes a fractured message.
Right.
And
Well, I feel like maybe they don't feel comfortable yet, but we all work together. Like, I would like also to know if there could be possibly a committee between you, maybe some of the parents that want less restrictions, parents that want more restrictions, and we can maybe form a committee that we could all talk to each other and try and come up with understanding.
I'll be more than happy to make myself available. I'll sit and listen to you. I'll show you the letters that we've sent. I'll show you whatever we've done. You know, I've seen really beautiful letters written by other districts that have gone nowhere because they're all by themselves, and each district, based on the Board of Education and the district, has their own little spin on it, and that's how we get divided and conquered. You know, our goal is simple. We want to get back to normal school. I listened to the board members and some of the things that they saw. We're moving back to normal. Like I said before, for some people we're moving too quickly, and for some we're moving not fast enough.
But we
It's a
know that
difficult-
this
I'll be happy,
vaccine's
you know what?
looming.
Call my office tomorrow, we'll set up a meeting, and I will spend as much time as you'd like.
Well, I want us all just to be fighting for our kids, because we all need to be working 24/7 at this point. This isn't just a photo op board at this point. You guys definitely are in for more, like the most important time in our history, I would say, for our kids, between the different CRT stuff going through, the vaccine mandates. We need your help. We really just need everybody to put their heads together and help fight. It's not a time to be like, we need a leader. We need people to lead. That's what we're trying to do. Half of us never went to a board meeting before. Now we're here like every other board meeting, unfortunately for you guys. But, you know, we're not trying to be against you. We're trying to stand together and fight, because it's going to be too late. That's all I want to say.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Tara Bartik. I have 3 daughters in the district, 2 in the high school, and 1 in RCK in 3rd grade. I'm here to say I am 100% against the COVID vaccine for myself and my children. There is no circumstance that I would even consider the vaccine We all had COVID, and our natural immunity did its job and fought the virus. And for people who want the vaccine, they have a choice. That doesn't affect me, therefore, I want a choice for my children not to vaccinate them. Not only is this mandate completely unconstitutional and un-American, but it is having adverse effects on children over a virus with a recovery rate of between 97 and 99.8%. Not only is this vaccine having adverse effects, but children are dying of cardiac arrest, strokes, days after the vaccine. So if you're not willing to fight for our children's health, let's talk dollar signs, because everyone who is against this vaccine either will move out of New York if they haven't already, or will be homeschooling their children. We are taxpayers who are paying your salaries. New York is one of the top 10 states with the highest per pupil spending, and New York being number one at $24,040 per student. So times that number by all those shoes that you saw out there who will be homeschooling their children. And with the shoe thing, I'm so disappointed that you didn't even have enough respect to leave those shoes out there for the day when you knew arrangements were made for them to be picked up. But I had to pass there and watch the custodian throwing them in a garbage pail. That was just like a slap in the face. That our voices didn't matter and the signs were too political, that they were removed by the morning arrival. What happened to freedom of speech? The narrative ended up changing. Custodians were throwing them in, saying they didn't get the point of the shoes. My daughter's social studies teacher saying how stupid that she felt the whole shoe thing was, and she didn't understand us parents. Because the signs weren't there, they were removed, and you couldn't even let our voices be heard. Over the summer, you had a board meeting with a handful of parents, including myself, saying how you were on our side. Well, that was just all smoke and mirrors because nothing is being done, and we as parents are tired of it. We want to know what's being done now before it's too late. We don't want to hear the little Johnny scenarios about things that would happen way back when. We need to know that you are willing to fight for our children who deserve to be in a public school without any vaccine mandate in effect. Maybe if you start leading by example for other districts will follow suit, you will regain some respect back by your actions rather than words to appease us. I know my time is up, but we as parents, we're fed up, and this fight has just begun, and we will not give up. We will pull our children right out of the school if our children's health is at risk. We are their parents. We decide our decisions for our kids, and we want answers, and we want to know you're doing that. We want to know what you're doing to fight for our children, because I feel like I'm just dealing with a bunch of politicians at this point. I don't really feel like our kids even matter because everything is just, like I said, smoke and mirrors. We want to see action. Thank you.
Hello, good evening. I just wanted to end the night on a positive note, backing off of Mr. Dorgan. The trunk or treat was amazing. For the first time in my son's educational career in second grade, the shrills and the giggles from the children, how happy and excited they were. We need to get back to that. My son was so excited that day. He couldn't wait. We need that. And my question today is, what is the policy on field trips? Because again, he's in second grade, so he's never really experienced one. Is he going to leave Timber Point and not have one? Do they have field trips in JFK? It's just something, it's about the kids. And to see my son and his best friend go, I gave him 20 bucks. I said, buy whatever you want. It was normal. It felt good. We need to get back to that. I know you felt it because I heard you. So let's do it. So about the field trips.
We have been sending our children on field trips.
They're going on field
They are, yes.
out of the school.
Out of the school, they are following whatever protocols they have in place wherever they're visiting, and they have been visiting different locations.
So, but my son has never been on a field trip.
Maybe they haven't had one yet.
All right, but is there
But-
like a limit? Because I heard that like there was like kindergarten was on one trip, first grade goes, like is Is that old or new, or?
I think they've had trips set up by grade levels. That's how they've done it.
There's an opportunity that he might be going on one this
Co-
year?
Correct.
Thank you so much. Have a
Okay.
good night.
Yes, actually, we approved an 8th grade field trip tonight. So it's good to see them coming back. Stephanie? That's it. Okay, on the consent agenda, we did approve, there was a scholarship memorial, that's a donation in the name of Thomas M. Potter. I believe if it's the gentleman I'm thinking of, I knew this gentleman, if this is Troy's dad, was a great man, baseball coach, had a few boys in the district, and just a very good person who will be missed. So thank you to the Potter family, whether it's him or another Potter. Thank you very much for your very generous donation. It's a great way to have your name go on in a good way. So thank you to the Potters for that donation. John, did you have something else? How's it going with the staff testing, Mr. Dolan?
I left this out of my report, and I had a very nice conversation with a parent today who had a very interesting concern about the testing that we have to do for our staff. And honestly, you know, all of these things are being thrust upon us, and her concern was, what was it doing for the relationships between the, you know, staff members? And but, you know, I've made it a point to spend some time at every testing session, and again, putting all politics aside and putting, you know, whatever personal beliefs aside, you know, we've been charged with conducting this testing for our staff, and I have not heard, you know, look, it's not necessarily convenient. We're trying to make it as convenient as possible for our people. Not all school districts are doing it in-house so that their people, you know, have to go and travel. You know, we tried to make it convenient so people can come on their free periods, or they can come before or after school so they don't have to disrupt their personal lives. And I've actually been quite pleased with the demeanor and the willingness to, you know, they want to be here. We want to be in school. We have been, I believe, very fortunate. Our number of cases are not large. I think that works in our favor. You know, I continue to say that, you know, I'm hoping and praying that the state gives us a target that we can all get behind to reach. But to have a community member reach out today and show concern, you know, for the feelings of people, I think is a nice way to end the meeting. You know, we are thankful for this. This is a slow and arduous process. It's you know, it's an evolution, not a revolution. I know that does not make everybody happy, but you know, we have to do everything we can to be respectful of both sides of the argument, even the you know, the far, you know, extreme sides of each argument. Our goal is to keep the East Islip School District united. You know, I'm hoping that we're going to start with the high school at the next meeting. I know these folks wanted to push me. We've had a very successful fall here, but it's not finished. It officially will end on Friday night at 4:30 at Hofstra. So, you know, at that point, you know, at the next meeting, my report is not going to be about capital reserve or budget or testing or the like. A big part of my report is going to be about some of the successes we've had. You know, and you know, I like the lady that spoke last about the field trips. You know, we had a very successful field trip to Boston, to Harvard University with our mock trial team. And I was very impressed with how the mock trial.
Say something? My son wanted to be a part of it. Unfortunately, he cannot go because he's not vaccinated. So we have two categories of people. Just saying.
Well,
Great idea.
I'm very sorry about that, but that wasn't our rule. That was the, you know, so that's not our rule. Okay, it's your dime, use it. But again, we are going to get through this. We're going to get through this together, because I've said over and over and over again, a year from now, this will be in our rearview mirror, and we will all be here in East Islip together. So, you know, Thank you very much, Mr. Zachary.
Now, one of the
Happy-
questions
oh.
in that email was about vaccinated teachers getting tested each week, but that's not the state requirement, correct?
It's not the state requirement, it's not practical. You know, I know some people are concerned about what the state is going to try to do. Some of what I'm hearing is just really not physically practical to do. So we need to, you need to continue to voice your opinion to your elected officials. We're certainly here to listen to you. You know, unfortunately, we speak up, we lobby, but we don't have a seat at the table, we don't have a vote. But we're here to listen, and I know that the powers that be, the politicians, do keep track of what goes on at these meetings. So again, we're more than happy to listen. We continue to do our best to lobby, but we don't have a vote in this. We can express our opinion, but we do not have a vote. I'm hoping tomorrow, after the last election, we're seeing a shift in things that we're hearing, and I'm hoping tomorrow morning to have a very productive meeting with several elected officials and colleagues of mine, and we're going to continue to try to move this needle back to normal. But again, you know, we're willing to listen, and we're willing to listen, but there are other folks that actually make the decisions and then give us the orders. So, you know, continue to voice your opinion here, continue to voice your opinion to the elected officials, and, you know, I'm thankful to live in a country where you can express your opinion. So I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Okay, the next Board of Education regular business meeting will be held on Thursday, December 9th, 2021 at 8 p.m. Can I get a motion to adjourn? All in favor? Everybody have a great Thanksgiving. Thank you.